Folks, we are live. Welcome to the Talking Crit live stream. I am your host, your bartender in the OSR, Eric Tankar. Below me, appropriately, is my once a week work spouse, Dad Mike Battleotto.
You made that worse.
Coming to you from the now not raining monsoon season beach. It's actually clear. It rained. When I got off the show last week, it started raining. It didn't stop till this morning.
So in other words, you could have been in Portland.
You actually,
I could have been. Oh, hey! Speaking of Portland, what a segue!
Segue diagonally up the screen and go to none other than Anthony Pryor, who, when Zach sent me his list of accomplishments, products, titles that he's worked on in gaming,
oh my God.
I literally had to just say and then tons more, because it is literally tons more.
I couldn't carry all the stuff I had he wrote. I went over there looking for it, and I have a lot of it, but I couldn't carry it all. And finding it was also a challenge. But I got some.
See, you're actually organized enough to be able to find that. By the way, that is Zach Glazer. Not Glazer, like I spelled it initially, and I have been for years.
Glazar.
Glazar, Chief Operating Officer of Frog God Games. He's our coup.
Yep. And I'm here. But I'm here because we have a really cool couple of products out there, and one of them I brought Anthony with me because Anthony was awesome. The Christmas one's great. We'll get there.
Oh, stop.
No,
stop.
I'm going to keep on doing this to you because you never mentioned you did Talislanta, right? You never mentioned you did that. I didn't know you did Mech Warrior. I knew you did BattleTech. His 12 pages of stuff. And I work with him every day. I was like, I want to ask now questions. I'm impressed.
Okay.
So you brought him on our show so you could ask him questions about his
I didn't know until I was giving Eric I knew he'd done Dark Sun and here and there a few things, but I didn't know how long the list was.
Well,
and it was very impressive. There wasn't anything stupid on there. It wasn't it was something really lame.
There was something stupid on there. What do you consider stupid?
Some of the stuff on Steve Winters is pretty lame, dude. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he worked in TSR in the dark days when they were doing the Rocky and Bullwinkle game, and that's Zeb Cook. Never mind. So
Zeb Cook said it was fun. Zeb Cook lectured
sure.
on that one. You were there.
I had that game. None of my friends would play it with the hand puppets.
Puppets.
It was a
little.
puppets.
Anyway,
it was a good concept.
It was, especially because they had no. Zeb said they had no support. They had no.
Yeah, Anthony, you have to hear the story from Zeb someday. It's hilarious about how that game came about. It was about how you expect a game company would work. Nothing. It didn't make any sense at all. Nothing. It was like, hey, make a Rocky and Bullwinkle game. Okay, see you next month. And you're like,
can we have the video? We don't have
those. Puppets. Yeah.
They didn't have the videos to watch or anything.
No, they had to go to the museum, whatever the television museum is, to watch old Rocky and Bullwinkle videos. And they had 1 weekend. They had 1 weekend to watch every Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Every Rocky and Bullwinkle in 1 weekend.
They
didn't get to all of them, so they got to most of them.
But the dark days before YouTube.
Didn't VHS exist at that point, or?
It was the 80s, but I don't think they had any of that stuff on VHS even. I don't know. If they
did,
they could.
The licensing, you have the access. You'll make your own.
They didn't have Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon wasn't cooking back then. I mean, they didn't have the cartoon channel.
Are you picturing the guys we know at your con from TSR, hooking on a VCR and sitting there and doing that?
Too true.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Anthony did good stuff. He did not do lame stuff like that fraud Zeb Cook or that other fraud. He did some really hard hitting stuff.
So some of my stuff was lame. It's
fess up. Which ones? Don't say Frog God stuff.
Oh, never mind.
The last stuff he did, that's all lame.
Never mind. Forget I said anything.
Yeah, that's right. Fair enough.
Well, I knew of Anthony back when he did art stuff, because I was 30 years old, and that was back in the 90s. And yes, I remember some of his TSR stuff. So he probably's got some great TSR stories hanging out there or hanging around here.
It was a very, frankly, my experience with working with TSR was great. It was very professional, and everything just went fairly smoothly. So, I tell people about the what was it called? The ethical standards that you had to agree to?
The TSR?
Yeah. It was similar to the comics code.
No.
So they had that written down, and that was when you couldn't have like I think demons and devils were off the table and stuff.
No
like
human
that.
sacrifice, or
I have an idea for Frog God now. I think I have an idea. Thank you, Anthony.
Oh yeah, it's completely the opposite for Frog God.
Okay. That's fair enough.
Yeah. Human sacrifice is encouraged, right?
Oh yeah.
Only certain humans, though. You got to actually pick and choose properly on that one. I think we can supply a name, Zach. No.
Did you see that article yesterday with they had a woman dancing on top of a Mayan pyramid that was illegal, and locals got all angry and said they were going to sacrifice her on top of it?
What?
Yeah, that was at Chichen Itza. I went there when I was a kid, and you don't climb those. It's not a good idea.
Well, it's actually illegal now for the last 5 years or something.
Yeah.
But she was dancing like a TikTok dance.
Oh yeah, she was doing an influencer thing up on the Mayan pyramid.
Of course she was.
By the time she got down to the bottom, they were not very happy.
She could have been famous. They could have they could have seen her. She had a really good heart. They could have seen that.
For every influencer that does something like that, there's always the one here and there that falls off a building, which I always laugh at. I shouldn't be laughing at it, but I always love the influencers that, hey, let's go climb this tall building and do a TikTok video, and they fall to their deaths, and you're like,
let's go check out this volcano in New Zealand.
Yeah, no kidding, yeah. Let's go out in shark-infested waters and do one on top of a shark cage in the middle of a storm. That'd be hilarious. Yeah. I'd probably get more viewers. I'd get a whole bunch more subscribers.
Well, okay, old man. Now we've ripped on all the people who are young doing stuff that we don't understand. We placed ourselves right where we belong. So you could go on to one D&D if you want, since we hate new stuff, right?
No, we're going to talk to
Anthony
for
later.
Yeah.
Later.
That's later. And plus, we have Zach on all the time too. Yawn. We're gonna work our way through Anthony's.
Resume starting here. That's why I gave you 12 pages. Ask about each one.
Well, tell us about your start in gaming, Anthony. I want to know how far back you go.
When I was in grade school, I read a guy's memoir talking about how he used to play miniature war games. And I went out and bought some Airfix miniatures and made up my own rules. And I stuck with that for years. And my parents realized that I was getting into this. And for my birthday, they got me SPI's Napoleon at Waterloo.
Oh, yeah, the classic, yes.
And then I tried to start a war game group at the community college I was at, and got a very bad reaction. And then I finally had this one guy call and say, hey, why don't you come over and join us? And we played, just some standard war games. But he says, yeah, you should play this game we play called Dungeons and Dragons. And I said, Dungeons and what's? And, the rest was history. So they got me into it. And that was in the early days. I would say that was about 1976.
So that Homestead or White Box?
That beats me.
Yeah, White Box. Yeah.
White Box?
So,
wow.
That was kind of it. I got into writing because FASA put an ad in a gaming magazine back in the 80s, mid 80s, saying they were looking for writers. And I wrote in and said, hey, I'd like to do this. And they said, oh, yeah, well, here, write up these mechs for BattleTech. And so I did like fake history stuff for the BattleTech mechs. And that was my start. And, that was back when they did the first BattleTech technical manuals. And so I was in the very first one and came up with some of the really cool mechs. And I really get excited when I see people still talking about BattleTech on YouTube these days and talking about the history of these mechs and how they were used and who fought with them. And I was
retired right there. That's like really high nerd level stuff.
Zach, some people have retired after that. We get people to this day that I want to be a guest at your con. What did you do? I did this BattleTech thing back in 1981, and since then, no, not much. But Anthony kept going, so
this is what we call deep nerd stuff. I wrote the Wolf's Dragoon source book and a bunch of other stuff, and then I had a less than successful work with one other company, but one of the editors from the company said, I'm going to be spinning off and doing some stuff on my own. Would you like to write for me? And then he got me a contract with TSR, and I wrote some of the D&D stuff, and it was basically on the strength of that I would write to people and go, I'd like to write for you because I wrote for all these other companies. And, so one thing kind of leads to another, and I enjoy it. It's fun. And, I feel like, we're making people happy,
Did you work with Mike Pondsmith when he was doing Talislanta?
Oh no, that was no, Pondsmith didn't work on that. That was
Pondsmith was Cyberpunk. What do you
Cyberpunk,
do? Art Taslorian?
I don't know. No, it wasn't Art Talsorian. No, okay, it was Bard Games. Bard Games. I worked with the Talislanta creator. We did a bunch of stuff for that. We did the Talislanta cyclopedias, which were brilliant, but nobody bought them, so that was sad. But
Talislanta stuff's nice. It's by the way, you can still pick that up now. I mean, for a pretty penny, but it's good stuff. That's good.
That's amazing stuff. It was all very. It was directly inspired by Jack Vance. The gentleman that created it actually wrote to Jack Vance and said, "Hey, is this okay?" And they were, Vance was happy with it. So, it was really cool. It was really strong influence from Dying Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, in more recent years, I had a long hiatus in the late 90s, and then I jumped back in, and I ended up being the line manager for the line developer for Sword and Sorcery Studios for White Wolf spinoff, the Scarred Lands, if anybody remembers that.
Yeah, Scarred Lands.
Mostly those were my baby. I kind of oversaw those, and those were fun. And mostly I've been working for Frog God lately. And
we're really not going to let him go either, because we made him do all kinds of stuff. What problem is when you show up and you have competencies, once you sniffed out that he's got them. Project management he can do art orders, and he can write.
Zach, he's the only professional that's working for our company right now.
He's the only one ever has.
Everybody else is just
guys.
Whatever. Yeah, I just happen to.
No, we work with Steve Winter. He's all right.
Yeah, Steve Winter's okay. We have to rewrite everything he does though, because no, I'm just kidding.
Look, nobody. Nobody sees their flaws like the people who actually do the writing. So I'm fully aware. I'm deeply aware of my imperfections and things like that. But it's all for love and money. There's no money involved.
And money, yeah. No, you better be.
Yeah.
Nothing says you love us like giving us words so we can give you money.
Yeah, like you get a check. Yes.
No, but honestly, your stuff is like your writing is improved. Like it's grown a lot since like the 90s, I guess. I mean, all the way. I know it figured the 80s, but like the last one you did is one of my favorite Frog Guys ever produced. Is the Yule Cat. I think it's really awesome. I think it's really clever. I think it's got a cool history and really interesting things. The thing is, I mean, I bet you're proud of that one because that'd be a hard one to pitch usually, but that showed up is awesome.
That one really makes me happy. That one makes me very, very happy. And I really, there's a lot of really great people working on that one, and it's just great. So we'll let's flog that to our listeners.
Let's talk about a little bit what inspired you to do that, because I will say when you said we're gonna do it on Icelandic myth, I'm like, okay.
Well, first of all, but back up just a little bit, Zach. So this is part of the trend that we began. It was about 3 years ago. We started doing holiday modules because we thought, why not? And I know this sounds ridiculous, but it's true. I think we write the best holiday modules of like anything I've ever read. I mean, I could go back. That stuff's great. The Orcus stuff's great. Feast of the Gobbler. It's all really, really solid. It's not just
4 years ago Halloween. I told James Spawn I had an idea. James, can you write this in 3 days? He goes, of course I can. He did.
Yep. And it was great. It's still one of our best sellers, I believe. So we started doing these holiday, and our stuff is actually really good. And we've done them for Valentine's Day. We've done it for 4th of July. We've done it for pretty much. Yes, I forgot about that one. We've done it, and like I said, they're not throwaway. Oh, let's just do a throwaway module. Or what I see a lot of in the industry is, hey, I've got this module here. Let's retrofit it to make it a Christmas module or a holiday module. No, these are actually really, really good. So we kind of have this history. We're going to do holiday modules, and they're actually good. So that means we have to get an actual good writer to do it. So this year we have
I worked on the Orcus Claws one last year. That was a lot of fun. That was Steve Winter, and it's a really cool little niche that we're fitting in. And I gotta say, the idea, and I'm going to keep saying this, the idea was Jeff Harkness's to do to incorporate
that Jeff Harkness guy. He's always jumping in.
Yeah, that guy. Like that. He worked with me on Scarred Lands way back in the day. Mm-hmm. And it was his idea to do an adventure that was based on Icelandic myth. And he started talking about, oh, well, there's this monster called the Yule Cat that eats people that didn't get clothes for Christmas. And I was like, that's weird. And so I started reading it up, and oh my God, it's such wonderful, wonderful mythology. There's so much cool stuff going on. And the fact that this is still, these traditions are still followed in Iceland. They still talk about this. There's the Yule Cat, there's the Yule lads, who are the little kids that run around pulling pranks, and then there's Grilla, the ogre that like eats children, and
I love the Krampus. I love the Krampus. We need Krampus in the United States.
This is really it kind of reminds me of movies like It's a Wonderful Life, but in Iceland with the demons.
Yep.
So, can you talk about the poem we licensed, Anthony?
Oh, yes. The poem is, let me get this right here. The poem that we licensed was a traditional Icelandic poem, very popular. It's kind of like Night Before Christmas in Iceland, and it's by the Icelandic poet Jóhannes úr Kötlum, and it's called The Yule Cat. He also did a poem about the Yule lads, and the Yule Cat poem was written in 1932, and it kind of codified a lot of the Icelandic mythology that had been around for hundreds of years. But he did this poem, and now it's the one that you read on Christmas Eve, and it's really wonderful.
And Black Cat that eats kids, right? So that's what they read on Christmas Eve. They read a poem on Christmas Eve about a cat that eats kids.
Yes. Oh, yeah. It's wonderful. And Bjork recorded it. You can find a recording of Bjork singing the poem on YouTube and stuff like that. The stories of the Yule Cat and the Yule lads were so scary that back in the 1700s, the government banned them and said, you can't tell these stories anymore. They're too scary. Damn. And that did not.
The Yule lads are nuts. They do all this weird little stuff.
Yeah,
like there are 12 of them or something. They all have a little nasty minor thing they do to you that annoys you.
Yes. One of them licks spoons. One of them steals your yogurt. One of them eats your candles.
It sounds like Tom Tullis.
One of them grabs your sausages.
That's Tom Tullis. Tom Tullis. Yep.
And they're. It depends on what mythology which version of the myth you're doing, but their mother is Grilla, who's the awful ogre that lives in the Dimmu Borgir lava fields, and this is all so perfect for adaptation. And we actually checked in with Kötlum's descendants in Iceland and made sure it was okay that we use the poem, because I don't want to go running off using, this national, treasured national poem without making sure it's okay. So we got permission to do that, and it's in there. And it's really, it makes me happy. Like I said, this whole thing makes me very happy.
Well, what's awesome is that you don't want to make a country angry that has, this is their Christmas Eve good cheer poem.
No, no.
When I read it, I'm like, I like, this is neat. Like, what's wrong with you, Iceland? Oh, I always picture them like the happy people that are busy fishing and having these.
Did you go to Iceland or did you go to Greenland? I can't remember.
I went to Iceland.
You went to Iceland. Okay, yeah, that's right.
We have a question. How much is comedy and how much is real culture? I would say it's probably maybe about 20% comedy, and it's mostly the real culture. It's mostly stuff that's drawn from the culture. There's a whole lot of different versions of the legends, so you're on pretty safe ground when you're using it, because not all the legends say that, for example, Grilla is their mother. Grilla could just be this ogress that's out there somewhere. But it is not as it's not as much of an outright comedy as some of the previous ones. I was actually reading it and thinking, I was writing and saying, oh, this is getting a little dark. And it does get a little dark, but it does all end well. So it's strongly influenced by the culture. So
Hey Eric, can I present the screen real quick?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. So this is right here. We made a sample so people could see what it was like, because we're really proud of the layout and we're really proud of the way the art works and how it involves Iceland. So we just sort of sampled so you could see it while it's on Indiegogo. It just has I think it has a great storybook, like kind of evil storybook feel about it. And just small things that make it really, I just think I like the way the headers are small. I like the way the page numbers are, all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I'm really pleased with it. So that's why we made it here. And so there were stats in 5th edition for the Evil Yule Cat, and then Old School Essentials, and the Castles and Crusades. And it also has a open game license, and it talks about the Indiegogo. So that is available on TTRPG, and it's free. So if you want to talk about a Yule Cat to eat your kids for Christmas, you can go check it out in drive-thru right now. And you can also pick up the module. It probably will be in time for the physical copy to get there by Christmas if you sign up now. But for sure, the PDF will be done, because that is very close to finish right now. Edwin and Lizanne got that kind of done. And so I'm jazzed about it. This one I'm really excited about. We've done a lot of them, and I haven't hated any of them yet. I don't think so. No, none of the Indiegogos.
And I want to mention the art is by Teresa Guido, Adrian Landeros, and Hector Rodriguez, and our awesome layout person Lizanne did a terrific job. This is beautiful book. I'm really,
it's a beautiful book.
I'm impressed.
Also, it captures the feel of it really nicely, because we have gotten. No shocking. We've gotten so much better at the speed we work and the way our processes work, that we're getting things early in that we can make sure the layout matches the style of the adventure and the theme, and that's really making a difference. So,
one more perk is for some reason I wrote this twice as long as the previous Christmas book, so you will get
many
more
pages.
You'll get more for your money, because for some reason I wrote this too long, but nobody seems to be upset about that. So
we included the appendix with all the 12 of Yule lads, and we included. It's a really great book. And when they actually had a emergency phone call with Anthony and with I think Edwin, and it was like, "What do we do?" I'm like, "Well, we print it." I went and made sure and checked the pricing and made sure we could afford it. But I mean, it worked out in there. But it's a really, really great. I'm really pleased. I can't wait. For my copy. I printed 100 books now with Frog Guy. This is one I'm really looking forward to.
Yep.
So unlike that Whisper and Venom crap we're doing soon.
Yep. And and this is.
I have one thing on my resume. Anthony's got 146.
Yeah.
Oh, you counted. All right.
This is kind of this is kind of a present, I think, because it just gave me such an insight into the whole Icelandic Christmas traditions, and this is really kind of a love note to that whole setting, and I hope everybody likes it.
No, and it's also a very mature take on it, a very respectful take on something that is a little bit weird and creepy. That could have been a real. You can do a lot of things that would have been less respectful of Icelandic folklore, but it was respectful, and it really does fit. And so I just think it's great. I mean, honestly, I was like, first I was sad because there was not going to be another Orcus module, because those are funny and fun. But this is better in a lot of ways for what it is, because it really is you get a real feel for like how it's hard to tell the cultures when you read real quickly how they like what their cultural outlook is and their feelings and opinions. Read about the Yule lads, you understand how their psyche works. I swear it's interesting.
Damn right. Yeah. I think Orcus Claus will return.
No, kind of like herpes, he'll be back.
He will be back. Yep.
That was not a good image. Thank you.
I wasn't going for it.
I want to ask Zach a question because I know we've talked about this before, but this is for the general audience. So what was your impetus for the trip to Iceland, and what was Iceland like when you went there? Because I
wasn't there long. I was in the airport. I went to the airport and went shopping, because when you went to Europe, I went to northern France. They stopped there because they're on WOW Airlines. I don't know if you've ever heard of WOW. For a while, they would weigh your bag and weigh you, and that's how you could make sure you're under a certain amount to get on the plane. So I had to go light in my carry-on. But they stopped in Reykjavik, and then you got out of the plane for like 2 hours, and so I saw a Viking ship and a Viking sword. They had all on display. Big picture of Bjork, and bought a sweater that was like so warm that I can't wear it in Arizona. And then I landed there again the way back. But you can go and stand outside. It's like, look at the window. I wasn't missing much by the airport. It was really flat and brown, like brown, dry-looking grass. But man, the water was beautiful. And I hear that I want to go to the tour and see all the awesome stuff. But I was there long enough to get a sweater. That's pretty exciting, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, I fell asleep. Did you finish the story yet? Or are you still going? Oh, sorry. Okay. Well, I want to go someplace really because. Look, we went to Wisconsin last summer. It was cool, but I want to go where it's cold in the summer. I'm tired of this. We may have to my wife and I may have to hit Iceland. So,
well, I think it's great. I think that when I went to France, it was great too. But I don't know. Have you been to any Scandinavian countries, Anthony?
No.
Oh,
no, haven't been off the North American continent yet. But
Yeah. Well, you're a young man like yourself has plenty of time, Anthony.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely.
We got some questions there?
Yeah, you did. We got questions, comments. Zach, why not go for Cinder Claws and Black Pete for the Dutch audience? And Dandelion Games goes, yeah, Black Peter is a fantastic mythology.
No, that's actually a good idea. And now that I know I have somebody who can actually handle it, there are some authors who are great at like comedy and some that can really write, complicated adventures that are really like just involve combat that's difficult and there's like puzzles. But this is a perfect one for Anthony. Like we have Rhiannon. I have someone who Anthony's worked with many times to do a puzzle adventure group for us. They're awesome. If I had another puzzle one, I'd totally sign it to her. So I mean, sometimes you pick the author what they're really good at when you get an opportunity to, and we're doing that now. So.
Oh, I forgot to send her the live stream link. Oh well, crap.
You totally said hi.
Yeah, I will.
No, she's awesome. She did. They worked on Cat's Cradle, right? She worked with her on that one.
Yes.
Amongst the other things. So.
My bad. Yep.
What else do you two old guys got, man? What questions?
Questions. All right, Mike. You have. We don't have a list of questions. We're not that kind of a show.
Yeah, no, that's why I had to say it.
Spontaneous.
We just talk. We talk about things, and then we get everybody's opinion. We talk about things.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. Let me think here. What are you looking at there? Oh, Splinters of Faith. Is that already out? Is that the hardcover or the softcover?
That's the hardcover review copy. We got the manifest, so it is on the water, not in the port. It's on the water. So
is it just a 5e version? Is there a OSR
We're making
version
both
too?
versions, but the 5e version is the one that's coming from Hong Kong.
Okay.
Because honestly, that book was double the size that we told Bill Webb it was, and that is going to haunt me for a very long time. So the same thing I kind of did with Yule Cat. I believe that when you make a book, you want to make the best book you can. And so he's right, though. Books cost money, but this was Jeff's masterpiece book. Jeff worked on this with Gary Schotter for years. When they released it before, it had a series of things that happened. So they released it in 10 pieces of softcover that were a while ago. And so it was not.
But it wasn't just that, though. It was the fact that I look back on my old Splinters of Faith, the old soft cover modules, and the printing is tiny. And there's no artwork at all, really. They did Bill's cost saving measure of a decade ago, where they all had the same cover.
Oh,
so
God.
you can't really tell if you have SF9 or FSF8 or 10 or whatever. You look at it.
I'm gonna speak in his defense and say we're still here because they did those kind of things. And I take a lot of the heat for everybody because I'm the one who deals with him when we do budgets. And I'm willing to take the heat on certain books. I'm willing to do it. He's willing to let me and willing to let us. But there are times when I'm pushing it. But I think that honestly, books we're proud of matters to both of us. I mean, matters to Bill too.
Well, the Splinter, this one looks great. That one looks
we were done doing books.
Great.
We swore that we were done doing books this thick. And when Bill got the page count, I thought he was going to faint. Over the phone, he's like, "Thud." The quote was like $230. $230 pages. They want it being over 500.
So we have a few questions from the audience here. Yep. Lou wants to know, how do you guys typically stage your development of a product like this?
Like which one? Like Yulecat?
Yeah, like Yulecat. So we know we're going to do a holiday module.
So I'm just jumping into the to the project manager stage. I could let you know how I see it. Mm-hmm. If that's if I miss any steps, just fill me in. But obviously it starts with the manuscript from the writer. That could be either solicited or somebody could send us something, and then that would be the determination would be, I assume, whether it's going to be published normally or whether it's going to go through crowdfunding. It's usually at that point, there's editing and development at that point, editing to just line editing to catch, just normal spelling, grammar, etc. Content editing to say, oh, this doesn't quite work. We need to rewrite
hold
this.
12 dragons, that kind of stuff.
Pardon?
This 20-foot room cannot hold 12 dragons.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of thing. So we do that. Once that's completed, if we're doing multiple systems, then that goes to conversion. People are converting it from 5e to, Castles and Crusades or whatever.
Right now. Yeah.
And then once that's done, then it goes to layout. And the layout person has got quite a job, because there's going to be especially when it's a crowdfund, there's a PDF version, there's a print version, and there's a print on demand version. Those all use slightly different layouts. 2
print on demand versions, and there's
2 print on demand.
Yeah.
So the layout person's really got a job on their hands. And that's usually about the time that the crowdfunding starts. So it's usually to layout by then. And we've also put in an art order, and that usually goes through Casey, who jobs it out to different artists. And that art sort of comes in bit by bit. And, once everything is ready, it goes to layout. And, usually layout and the crowdfunding are done about the same time.
Usually a month after crowdfunding, by the time the layout's finished and all the versions are done. But then we have we do some of the things, like we'll make tokens for some of them. We'll make player maps, and there's like post production stuff that we do in case anything changes the last minute in the book. We wait to do the last stuff to the end. And so usually making tokens, that's the one job they let me still have for production.
Nobody else wants to do it. So congratulations. Yes.
I was going to ask you the same question. Good question, Terry.
Oh boy. Oh, for me?
Yes.
What am I most? Oh my God. There's so much.
Yulecat.
I gotta say, more recently, I think Yulecat is one of my favorites. As far as,
don't let this guy bully you, Anthony. Come on, tell us the truth. Don't
how it came out and how it looks and how the whole process. But in the past, I would say probably the BattleTech technical manual, because that really got the whole.
Those were really nice. BattleTech. The early some of that BattleTech stuff, the house books were great. I mean, those were just nice books.
That was really a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. And
I have mine on my shelf. I love it.
From TSR, I think probably either Spellbound, the book about the Red Wizards of Thay, possibly, or the Marco Volo trilogy. That was a trilogy of adventures back in the 80s.
Digest sized, yes.
That I just had a ball writing that.
No, you talking about, there was actually a Marco Volo. There was a module trilogy.
Yeah, it was a trilogy of modules. Yeah.
Okay, I was thinking all right.
Yeah, they were fun. And then I think the whole the entirety of the Scarred Lands, I just sort of look at it with a huge amount of pride. It won some awards. It was popular just as a whole. I think that line is the one that I'm most proud of. So yeah, it varies, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, everything I worked on, I'm like, gung ho about, but those were really fun.
Man, I wish I could say that.
Your wife wants us to give away stuff because she got lucky one year and won a bunch of prizes. So now she wants prizes all the time.
Yeah. So anything from Zach's collection, we can give something.
So
away.
yeah, Jen, just go.
I have coupons in the Frog God store that nothing comes in my collection.
Just go over to the building that Zach's in right now.
I got some empty boxes.
Go to the front room and just grab some stuff, put it in a box, and send it to me. And that's what you'll have. And then I'll send you a giveaway. I'll give you some stuff.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
No. That's actually valuable. That's a tough find, man.
Yeah.
He's got stuff. I visited Zach's Sanctorum, and he's got stuff laying around that's just like like you go to the bathroom, there's like a chainmail, sitting by the toilet. I mean, it's ridiculous. I thought I had a bunch of ridiculous stuff laying around. No, Zach has me beat. He's got stuff everywhere, just stuck here, there, and everywhere.
That's the difference.
Yes, mine's in boxes in the closet. That is true. That's very true.
I agree that that knowledge about all the expenses and work that goes into like just producing one product would be really useful for most people to understand why things are published the way they are.
Why they're expensive.
The number one the thing people talk about, it drives me, and I have to sit there and explain this to people, is I don't understand why this costs so much. It's just paper, this and that, and I have to explain the whole concept of just everything, because now I know more about it working for Frog God, and more about, especially having stuff printed in China and having shipped here, and you learn all the ins and outs. And honestly, it's not like the profit margin's huge. I mean, you're not making it's not this gigantic profit margin everybody thinks it is. Like, well, it shouldn't cost anything. You're just you're just printing on paper. There's a lot more.
You can't get paper right now.
Yeah, exactly. Most of the time, sometimes you can't even get paper. But I think the number one thing people don't understand is just the fact that stuff has to go from point A to point B to point C to point D. That's where all your costs come. Is from all the different places these things have to go to get to the final destination.
No, it's very important at Frog God that for us, we pay everybody for work. I mean, even if it's like the kind of reorganizing files for us, or you're making all the people who work in Bill's warehouse, and they pay his kids because they're not thralls. Well, they could be, but no. But
and unlike Paizo, not everybody lives in the same apartment complex in Seattle either.
You pay. You want to include the people who can do the best jobs. So you pay everybody. That includes converters. You have 3 converters. You have an editor. You have project managers. You have artists. You have art directors. You have me. All the way up until finally Bill. If any money gets back there, we throw it to Bill. Maybe no, but it is expensive. It's expensive to make nice books, but we really try very hard to make nice books, and we are getting better all the time. I think the last 2 years have really shown that we can produce some really nice looking stuff that is thought out. And I think right now, like OSC, we're working on the Heart St. Bathurst. And I watched Anthony and Aid and Aaron on our internal Teams chat talk for seemed like hours. You guys are talking about levels, about OSC and how that's going to work and whether they're working or not. And we do the layout now for that. It's very specific to that look and style. We can talk a little more about OSC releases in a minute. I have some samples, but I mean, it's going to be neat. And it's fun because you care about how the game's played, because OSC is badass. OSC is cool. It's fun. It's my kind of game because I grew up that era. So we want to make the best OSC stuff we can. We want it to look awesome. We want it to be awesome. But in order to do that, we have to do a lot longer planning and a lot longer till we do crowdfunds. And that's all changed because you do 4 crowdfunds a year. Now we do more than I can count. Like right now, it's so many that it costs us the total revenue, I think, because so many people can't follow it all. I get it. I do. But we have to get them out because we have other stuff we want to bring out and coming up because games are cool and we need them.
So Cal says something that's so abundantly true, is that gamers are super cheap. Yes, they are, and that's what. And I remember this goes back to the 90s. Even this isn't even just now. This is the 90s when people used to gripe about spending. You remember when the Encyclopedia Magicas came out? Those were those really cool books that just had like every single magic item ever published in anything TSR ever did, and there was a 4-volume set. And you think that this must have taken some interns, or interns, weeks and weeks.
It's probably Anthony. It was Anthony. Watch this.
It might have been. It might have been Anthony. But they were $25 a piece.
Yeah.
And I remember people just bitching about that. $25 from how could they? I'm like, dude, these books for $100, you'll never have to create a magic item again in your entire life.
That's not true because actually we sell the Tome of Treasures. There
you go.
Oh, there we go. So yeah, I was wrong.
I'm relieved I wasn't involved in that because that was the one with the rather infamous global search and replace error.
Ooh, what's that? I don't know about that.
They decided that through the book they referred to spellcasters as mages.
Oh yes. No,
and they decided, we need to change mage to wizard. And the unfortunate individual who was tasked with this decided, I'll use this global search and replace feature, and the word mage will be replaced with the word wizard everywhere in this product.
I wizard. Every time there's an image, it was I wizard.
And every time you talk about damage, it's the wizard.
Oh,
and that was not caught, and it went to press, and I have a feeling someone
got that forever.
Someone got promoted from that. No,
yeah, probably, yeah.
But that was $25 back in, which is probably I don't know what inflation rates are. This is back in the 90s, but people were bitching about that. I remember thinking at the time, that's a great value for $25. One of these books, and so here we are in 2022, and people were still bitching about the cost of stuff.
Yeah,
and like I said, I have to explain the whole printing process to people over and over because. And they just don't understand what the costs that go into this stuff now. And now, especially now when things are so scarce and, the pandemic, I mean, we had stuff stuck in China for how long, Zach, or on boats, boats.
There are boats that couldn't leave for the pandemic, but we had trouble getting paper for the Indiegogo modules we do because we print those in local to me. And so they get really great 100-pound gloss paper and they put it in there. It's beautiful paper and it's really takes the ink really well. It's awesome. Well, they ran out. They couldn't get any for months, 2 months. Just none anywhere in the U.S. So that happens. But but now we order in advance with them, and it's all it's challenges. And making the books is challenging, but it is still awesome. I love the fact that when the Lake of Dust, I think Steve Winter wrote that, and Anthony produced it, developer. It was awesome. The cover was great, and the book is really interesting. And I couldn't wait to print it. So I had to wait 4 months to print it because there's no paper. So
great module.
Yep.
Yeah. Can I we had a question come in a little while ago.
Yeah.
That somebody was asking what the Marco Volo trilogy was about.
Oh,
and
yeah.
In short, in 25 words or less, it's a con man claiming to be what's his name? Marco claiming to be one of the major Forgotten Realms characters, and he's actually a con artist named Marcus Wands, who is taking you off on a quest, and I don't remember what the quest was, but yeah, it's a 3-part quest, and it's got all sorts of references in it. It's got kind of it's got some goofiness in it. I was trying to be kind of funny with it. And I believe it's the only adventure where one of the treasures is a cache full of cheeses that are worth many gold pieces. They
need more treasures like that. That's real.
That's why you would buy the Tome of Treasures, which is on the boat with the Splinters of Faith right now. It has just that thing. Yeah. No cheese. Cheese is really awesome.
Yeah, the cheese that was they came up with the Catoblopus cheese, which I thought was really hilarious.
That's clever as all hell.
It's gathered by blind monks.
Of course.
It's just great.
And they massage it kind of like those Wagyu cows.
Could be. And as for projects, well, we're talking about the projects I've got coming up. So
Yeah. Well, you can hit it on some of them. You're doing some stuff.
Return to Marco Volo. I think that's one. We don't own that IP anymore. No, we never owned that IP. Never mind. Okay, never mind.
I'd have to talk to Watsy about that. But anyway, we got some stuff coming up. Anything? Anything we've talked about that's like off the table, or are we?
No, nothing is off the table. What we say now is not promised, but I think we can. Because
we're working on another book, another magic book with spells and new spell casting ideas.
Tome of Spell Mastery is the title we have for it right now.
What is it?
Tome of Spell Mastery.
Tome of Spell Mastery, yeah. And I have a chapter on cardomancy, which is card-based spell casting, and working on a couple of sort of settings that connect Rappan Athik with the Cyclopean Deeps. That's really cool.
We're doing Underrealms, pretty large Kickstarter for that. Yeah. On the Tome of Spell Mastery, we actually have some cool like spell origins. So how this spell was discovered or how this spell can fail. We got a bunch of tables in the end that I think are pretty clever and pretty fun, because I think that one of the things that I don't love about 5th edition is I always feel like everybody knows the same spell. You need small variants or things that go different, because I think that makes it yours. But that's why I'm not in charge of WASI. I'm in charge of me.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah, good thing. That's going to work out for you.
You want to talk about Heart of St. Bathos? Or
Yeah, actually, I'll let you do that, because you know more about it than anybody at Frog God. The only person who knows more is Knauer.
Okay. That's fine. I'll talk, as you can tell. It's the new Kickstarter that's out right now. And if anybody wants to put the screen up,
Eric's got it.
It's by William Knauer, who wrote, among other things, Lost City of Baracus, and a wide range of other things. He's a very multifaceted, multi-talented writer, and it is an extensive Underrealms. We're calling it Underrealms to avoid confusion with that other
good idea.
place.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
And so it's an Underrealms based campaign, going to take you from about 3rd level to about 12th level, and you have to go redeem the soul of a fallen paladin, and you encounter the sort of creatures that you would expect to encounter in the Underrealms, including Durgar and Drow, and also more unusual creatures from the Frog God bestiary, including Sathar and Encephalon Gorgers and creatures like that. And it's got about 20 different locations. It's more or less a sandbox adventure. It's
many maps. Many maps.
Many maps. And it is highly adaptable. One of the things that I noticed about it in reading it is it will fit into a campaign very neatly, in the sense that these are locations in the Underrealms that you can go to, and then you can also sprinkle in your own locations. And we're also offering an add-on by Ken Spencer that's going to detail even more mini locations that you can pop into your St. Bathos campaign or into your own personal campaign. It doesn't matter. It is, as before, beautifully illustrated, very beautifully written, a very, very compelling story. Lots of cool stuff going on. And it is, I think it's a winner. I think it's going to be very successful, and I think people will really enjoy it.
No, I agree. One thing I can say is that on the OSE version was a last minute ad, because we weren't, one, certain we could get it done in time. Two, we weren't certain it would really work with St. Bathos because of the scope, right? We had, one of the things we did in Swords and Wizardry that I regret is we would made sure that we put a Swords and Wizardry version of stuff that was really odd for a Swords and Wizardry adventure. It just didn't quite have the same feel. Well, this one we want to make sure it would work. And we went through, and Anthony and Aid and Aaron went through to make sure it wouldn't figure out the levels. So we put it on our website, because we didn't have a quote for the book and we wasn't sure how to get it on time. So we're going to do a print-on-demand version. And on the website, if we get, I think it's 125 pre-orders, no one's getting charged when you sign up now. If we get 125 pre-orders, we're going to produce it. And then by producing it, I mean, we're going to make it print-on-demand. And then we're going to use the method that is on drive-through, to where you're paying right now just the cost of the production for us. And it's 125 plus this money here pays for conversion, editing, layout, and one other thing I can't remember for the specific versions. But that will cover just that cost. So there's no print cost involved. We pass the print cost along with the shipping and charge less for this.
Right.
And so that way it mitigates our risk. It lets us gauge interest. And I think it'd be a great one. And we've had a pretty good response. We're not there yet. But I encourage people who are interested to check it out because you get everything you would have gotten the Kickstarter. If you're on the pre-order, you get an option to buy the other book, Encounters in the Lost Lands, or Encounters in the Underworld Realms. You can get that book when it comes out. There's a Kickstarter-only version that has a couple extra rooms in it, or encounters in it, and that one you'll be able to have access to that. We had some free PDF for the first couple of days. If you were in the pre-order, then you still get those, and the add-ons. I personally made the price changes in the store myself, so the store add-ons were the same as Kickstarter one. So we try to treat it that way, but without completely blowing up the organization to set up the Kickstarter. Because it's a lot of work to set it up, and if you make a last-minute change, you're destined to make a mistake, and we didn't want to do that. So this is why we did it this way. So we're excited about it. So if you're interested in seeing it in OSC, please stop by
and check out that awesome cover.
No, it's great.
Isn't that a great cover?
I love it, and it's appropriately. It's like a demon cover without being filthy. Like it's not like raggy stuff, man.
Yep.
Hey, well, that's accurate, but still.
No, I know it's accurate, and I think James is awesome, but it's not like that.
All right, so we got a question for Anthony.
Oh, do we?
What can you tell us about your work on Lankmar Adventure?
Oh, yeah.
I
forgot about that one in my in my work I'm most happy with. TSR had the license to do Fritz Leiber's Lankmar, and they did some modules and they did a setting, and they came to me and said, we want to expand on this and rewrite it, basically. And so I sort of took it and I added a lot of material because I sat down and read all the novels or read all the stories twice, and sat down and I did a little synopsis of all the stories, and I listed where the NPCs appeared in the stories. I changed a few of the details, added a bunch of stuff. No, it was really it was a great experience. And Fritz Leiber, my God, this man's
that's a little that's pretty amazing, honestly, because I think just when you work with a property like that, it just feels so strange to me, because it's just your source feels so good.
Oh, and I had a chance. I met Fritz Leiber years before at a WesterCon that we were running, and then I went to NorwestCon, and he was at this NorwestCon, and I really wanted to go to him and say, by the way, I'm working on this. And the guy was on his last, he was in a wheelchair, and it didn't really look like that was appropriate. I really wanted to, but I sort of held off on that.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah, I didn't want to, stress him out, because he died just a few months after that. And, that was one of the old, that's one of the old gods passing.
Yeah, no,
absolutely. That was the, that was Goddardammerung. It was just this guy. I worshiped the ground he walked on, and it was just so nice to be able to do that.
Well, Gary did a lot too, I think, to recover his being known literarily. So didn't he have a long gap between when he was first writing and then when they rediscovered it? And I think Dragon Magazine has something to do with that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that increased the popularity, because I'm pretty sure that there was a lot of influence on early, certainly on early D&D and that stuff.
And by the way, a little bit of trivia: Fritz had a crush on Mary Gygax, Gary's first husband, because our first
husband. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've heard this before from a few people, and he wrote her. He had a long correspondence with her. He wrote her a lot of letters.
Oh, that's cool.
So they were he had met her before and was entranced. She was, if you look at pictures, she's a very beautiful woman back in the 70s. So
that's when you have a duel, right?
I don't think there was a duel involved, no. But yes, he wrote her a lot of personal correspondence, and Apparently
Did
sent
not know
her
that.
presents and stuff, and was just very, very enthralled
Oh.
by her. So
Oh, that's
I think
very
it's
sweet.
kind of a fun, it's kind of fun little
No,
trivia thing there.
that guy, boy.
Yeah, no,
Tell ya.
amazing stuff.
Yeah,
So
she was
you-
just showing off something the other day on Facebook, signed by him, that she had sitting in her living room. So that's why I remember that story, because she was showing.
Oh, that's great.
There's a good question here in front of us, but before we do that, I want to ask about Lankmar one more thing. So you did the first mega module, or you did the stuff after that one? That was
I did the second printing of the City of Lankmar, which I was kind of annoyed because one review said, "Oh, it's just reprinting stuff that's already been there," and I pretty much rewrote.
Did you give them the finger? Because I would have given them the finger. I mean,
at that point, yeah. And I did 2 Lankmar modules. I did, I think, Thieves of Lankmar, and I did a couple of Lankmar modules too, that were a lot of fun.
So the question I see in front of us, these are ones that these are hard ones to answer, but do you have any projects you're excited about that died in the womb? I'll let Anthony go first. He has so many to choose from.
Yes, and I can't say what it is.
No.
It was fairly recent, and it appears to be dead, and I'm very sad. But that's all I could say about it.
It was a Sailor Moon RPG, wasn't it? It was a Sailor Moon RPG, right?
Power Ranger. Yeah, Power Rangers.
My God, so sad. And I wanted, I guess, I don't know if it's exactly dead in the womb, but I felt like the Talislanta series kind of did not. It kind of ended sooner than I really wanted it to. As did the TSR one, where you're the rulers of the countries.
Birthright.
Yeah, Birthright. And those are ones we had a lot of plans for Birthright that didn't end because I think TSR kind of was in trouble at that point, and that didn't that didn't end up becoming coming to fruition.
Awesome.
So, it was a great idea, and I enjoyed working on those, but I was sad that did not continue.
I tell you, anybody that plays D&D that's out there, and if you just want to create a kingdom, but you don't want to create it because you're lazy, you're bummed. Yeah. Buy any of the Birthright Kingdom books, and they're small. They're about 20 pages.
Yeah, they're very short. Yeah,
and it gives you an entire kingdom. This is part of the Birthright Kingdom. Now it's set up for Birthright, but for the few changes, you could make that your central kingdom in your campaign. I've done it before. It works. There's some really great writing in those kingdom books, and there's a lot of them too. There's like 15, 20 of those laying around. So
there were a bunch
really
that
good.
Really, I think that was when they were kind of like printing everything that they could get their mitts on at that point. And I did what's that one?
Highlands.
There it is. That's mine.
Well, yeah, that's the best one too. I forgot that Anthony did that. That's actually the best one. Of any of the Highlands.
Yes.
I can't see it.
Tribes of the Heartlands Waste.
Tribes of the Heart. Yeah, that's a good one too, actually.
Oh man, I don't have any of them anymore.
That's actually a good one. The Giant Downs is a really good one too. And then they have a little, the little booklet ones are really good.
Oh man.
Yeah, the little booklet. There's one of them.
You got all of those. Boy,
those were great. They really were very good.
Each at a record store. I couldn't.
You can get them cheap. You can still get them cheap, and
they're really good.
Perfect.
The things I don't think
you want to create a campaign. Yeah,
follow up on all that. I lost all mine in my divorce. It was sad.
If you're lazy and you want to create you want to have a setting for your campaign.
Oh my god.
Yes.
My wife
it's a long and sad story.
Yeah. No, I hear you. So I'll answer mine. Same answer, which is. Whoops! That was.
Can't say.
All right, close that. My
voice
computer went on. My wife said she'll send those to you, Anthony.
And
she means it.
She's gonna take them away from you first.
For me, projects that I haven't got to do is one I was going to do before I got the Frog God, a lesser known one that we actually wanted to do most of was a Dwarven Fiasco, and then we had an idea that we will never see print that was actually pretty good for that, but. I also regret there are a couple coming up that I don't know if we'll be able to do because of the outlook for crowdfunding, and it's really hard to do certain kinds of formats that we can't easily sell in various channels. Whether it be like a box set, we were talking about a hex crawl box set that was really pretty fancy with the 5e kind of hex crawl. Where you have
yeah, that would have.
And
it was great.
we want to really do it bad. And the thing is, we have to make sure we get the quotes and do the financing for it. We have a lot on our plate, but that's one that I'm not lamenting it yet because it could very well happen. But I'm aware of, cost would be. But the other things I missed is that we were going to do a very fancy version of Necropolis, a special edition. I did the quote for it. It's 4 pages long, just a special edition. All the measurements and all the magnetic latching and the gold on the outside. Well, I was told by someone smarter than me.
How'd that work out? Am I going to get that anytime soon?
After 5 days of working on it, I had an afternoon where I was told that probably wasn't going to work. We're going to go with leather. but I learned a lot. We made a screen, and I'm starting to learn how other things are ordered and how we can get them done. And there's a question I'm going to fall into about POD. POD is really important for us because we're able to do small print runs of the books that we can print for Indiegogo. We don't have to store them. There's no holding cost, and they'll be available all over the place. And so we use Lightning Source, one of their front companies, same as Drive-Thru uses, and they have a lot of choices, and they have actually getting more choices all the time. And there's like neat ways we're going to try some new ones. There's some things I think will be great in spiral bound with maps. We're thinking about trying that, and there's other kinds of sizes. We've got A5 for OSC. So those kinds of things we're looking into to make to be a little more flexible and do more stuff because you never know how the future is going to hold for 2D&D. So,
well, speaking of that, if I can jump in real quick, the subject that Eric and I have been talking about quite a bit lately, and it's been a huge news story, is the movement of WotC and their 1D&D plan. And so I am asked to answer a lot of time. I'm asked to answer.
If he is, I'm not talking.
Chris Kurt's not here.
Now, Kurt, if he's in the audience, he's a silent viewer.
But I'm asked a lot what Frog God's stance is on this. I'm like, yeah, look, I'm barely an employee there. So let's talk to somebody who is actually an employee there, Zach Glazer. So what is the outlook for this coming change to D&D? Oh, there we go.
Oh no!
I'm gonna say he left because he didn't want to answer the question. So how does this impact our books going forward if we're going to publish 5th edition material?
Well, right now it doesn't impact it at all. We have Wizards of the Coast, the Open Gaming License side, because they had it for 5th edition like they did. I foresee producing for the 5th edition type rules until people don't want them. And it'll be a while till they actually get up and running. New editions take a while. Not all new editions are great. There's going to play tests. There's lots of internal stuff going on there, from what I understand. It. They have not made final decisions, but they're hinting what they're going to do, but then they hint another way. I think they don't want to have the third-party stuff the way it is now, and that's their right. They own the IP. But what that does, honestly, is that sets us free. We talked about this internally, where we have a really good group of people who have a lot of talent that can go a lot of places, and we have. We're already looking at other, like Castle Crusades was one of them before we even knew about that. OSC was one, same thing. Well, before we knew this was going to happen.
Yeah.
But our skill set's growing. So, we're looking, there are other rule sets we can consider. We might use some with people that are already in our shoes. There are other companies like us. We might make our own rules for that. It could be like a starter set box that has, a real basic 5e starter set box that we rewrite like Osric was, and we write to that. Because people still going to play it.
There was a company called Paizo, the other company called WotC, and WotC decided the 3rd edition wasn't where it was at, and they dumped it. And this company named Paizo said, "Hey, I might be able to do something." That's real
possible. We don't Frog Out we don't have the resources to make a kind of risk, because you're talking about with you print runs of 5,000 if we're going to make it worth it for the kind of thing we have to make. However, we're not opposed to like doing that with a coalition or just having rules released to write too. So I think it's different. Paizo had the Dragon magazine, and they had all kinds of connections to where, even though they did that, they had the credibility to do a big print run, right? And they had been doing subscriptions, and they had the skills. But I think for us, WotC gave us a big gift with this edition. So many people play role-playing games. My mom played role-playing games. Yeah. Everybody plays them, and they know them. Most players who sit down to play a role-playing game, to them, it's kind of irrelevant, the rules, as long as they're fairly simple. And they're playing a game with their friends, or they're going to convention, or playing online. Playing D&D as it had to be D&D, I think is less important than it was. It's still important they're there because without them, none of us are here. I mean, without WotC, none of us that are sitting here doing this for any kind of money. And so I'm grateful for that. Now, if they take away our toy and don't let us do it, or they want way more than we can afford for the adventures to publish them, that's okay. We have other ways we can do it. And certainly the old systems and old editions are there. But there are other kinds of products we can make, and there are certainly games we'd like to try. I would love to try some of some real sword and sorcery type stuff, that real Conan-esque, some maybe John Carter-like stuff. I love settings like ones that are, I'll do one really magic heavy that has no tech at all. So there's all kinds of spells. There are things that we can do that can work in conjunction. It's kind of system neutral. There's also other rules with the kind of knowledge and awareness of role-playing games now. The things are coming out, like the Roll20 was one OBS. There's going to be, I think, a renaissance for independent and different kinds of content that we haven't seen. And I think that makes it okay. Do I want to see changes? I hate change. Change is uncertain. I want to make sure there's enough money so I can make a box set, so I can make the things I want to make. But I also want to make sure that, we can pay the writers and we keep the lights on. We have a warehouse we're going to take care of. These VR headsets aren't going to buy themselves. No. But but in all honesty, it's important to us. We have we probably have 44 people we pay some kind of PayPal or various electronics tubes that work with us. And once you're kind of in the boat, we want to keep you there. So we have a lot of artists that, they're pretty young. And so they've been relying on this money because it's been pretty consistent for 5 years. So they've been relying on this money to, their car payment. And they would not go broke. We never recommend anybody quit their job. They would not go broke, but they, this is part of their lifestyle, and they do this and they got it down. They've got skill. We don't want to lose them. Part of it is if we don't pay them, they'll go somewhere else. I don't want Wolfgang to have them. That would make me mad. So honestly, I think it's not a bad thing. That's my opinion. Not ideal.
Well, what if? So let's just throw out because I know this is what if, but what if they decide? Okay, we're going to call this blah blah blah, but it's really D&D 6.0, and you're going to have an SRD for this. You're going to have to pay to do this and that. We're going to change up these rules just enough to where it's not 5th edition. There's nothing that prevents us from still publishing 5th edition, correct? I mean, that's still on the table.
I don't think so. In fact, I talked to our attorney about this because that's what I do, and he might be in the audience. Hi, Ty. No, but seriously, because of the way it's written, because of what it is, the way Ty looks at it, he dares them to sue. He dares them to sue us because the standing is not so good with the OGL, and he said nothing is better than watching a giant company try to snuff out a bunch of little companies that really. Yeah,
let's punch down. Let's punch down a little bit here. Yeah. This makes us look so good. Yeah, this is
and
great.
So I don't think they would. And I think if they choose to make their own closed gaming resource documents like they did for 4E, that's on them. They can do that. Do I think it's a good idea? I think it's a terrible idea. But that doesn't. No one asked me. I don't work there, and I would. Though I were not so, I wish they would do it the other way. That's up to them. What I don't know is that they're talking about like a platform where you have all the different pieces. You go there to shop like a digital closed garden. They have never done that before. I'm just not confident that that's going to be when 1DD comes out. I don't expect to see a giant platform made that would take Microsoft to build. I mean, it would take a large company to build that without to have it seamless. So I have somebody who doesn't know computers can sit down and here I am. I'm going to play online. I can get my digital outfit, my digital weapon. I can load up and get my character sheet. All that stuff is work. And it's hard. And I just don't think they'll have that ready in time. So that's one of those things they'll talk about. But until that's there, I don't think there's a compelling reason to move to 6. But like I said, I'm not.
Well, I mean, 4E was designed with the idea of a digital marketplace. It was
Gleemax, man. Gleemax is going to take the world by storm.
Gleemax,
Gleemax a lot.
4E, VTT, microtransactions. So that was the game plan. And part of the reason why 4E flopped as badly as it did is it had a whole aspect that never came to market. And that was what they were planning on. 5E, wisely, they really weren't worried about that as much. They pretty much farmed out, was it D&D Beyond or Beyond D&D, whatever. However, so now they bought it out, right? Now that's part of their company. We kind of knew that was going to happen when the founder left his own company. You knew that was going to happen. So do I think that their VTT is going to be ready in time? The shit's never ready in time. And that's going to be a problem for them. And I personally suspect that the way they say they're going to be able to support the thousands of independent publishers with 1D&D. The only way they're going to do that is to bring over the DMs Guild or something like it, so people can publish within whatever that contract is going to be in DM Guild. Sure, use our IP, but we get half your money. I mean, it doesn't help any of the major third parties.
And they own the IP. You know, that's the key point is they own the IP that's published there. So
Right.
That's the part. That's the part that.
Yeah.
You know, but hey, you know, they do them. I really do believe that people. So many people have played this now and so familiar with it. I mean, did you ever think people would watch people play D&D like on TV for the Critical Role? Did that ever occur to you that would be cool? I could buy D&D socks and D&D umbrellas. I mean, it's around, so people will be playing RPGs. Anthony,
this is just the current environment is just astonishing to 16-year-old me.
Yeah.
It's just like, wow, I never thought this would be cool. It's way too late for me to exploit it, but whatever, it's all right.
It could be like
it's
the
nice
elements of your D&D, man. It could be you. See it?
It's
the hair.
It's good to be it's good to be part of that. I'm in a wait and see mode.
Yeah.
I just want to see what's going to happen. There's a very good article in RPG.net about the status of the SRD, or the OGL rather, points out that it's never going away.
Yeah.
It's there. It was set up to be permanent. And that's associated with
we might know attorneys that are chomping at the bit to sue if that ever gets.
I think they'd be allowed to defend from a suit, but they have to actually do it. Now they've proven that if you steal an IP like Star Frontiers and you're a complete asshole, and you have people, they've proven that there's a limit, and they know what it is. I don't think Frog God meets that limit. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. That's yeah.
You know, well, you should, because it's a tragedy. It reacts.
Yeah. Yeah, what can I say? But I think you're right. Role playing has become too big. I mean, it's for everybody now. It's not just for nerds. And the fact is that we'll find an audience. And I am not sure. Well, like I said, I'm not going to make any predictions about what WotC or D&D, what Wither D&D, but I'm willing to wait and see what happens and make contingencies.
They didn't have an OGL, or they didn't have a way for us to write for compatible rules before. We had a Kickstarter for 5th edition foes, but there was we had no guidance because we weren't really officially allowed to. We just did, and I think that we probably won't do that if they're explicitly saying they don't have third parties. But it's unknown. All right, the future is unknown because things change very quickly. I think that I'm concerned a little bit, only because I like things. They were working great. They're still going to work great. We have good people who will be able to make games, and we're in a position where we are like we can. I think we
will. I think the future is positive. I mean, the market's a little strange right now, but I think that's just normal.
No, I think it's normal, and it's also gives us a chance to focus on certain things as opposed to everything.
Oh yes, and as an answer, I much prefer writing. I much prefer writing source. I much prefer writing settings and adventures. I hate writing rules. So
that means you're writing rules next time. Next time you misbehave, Anthony, I know what you're doing.
Ouch.
Yes, I know.
You can do high level combat rules for hand to hand and knife fighting. 200 pages.
Yeah,
of knife fighting.
Oh no! I get to do the grappling rules. That's the
Lou, DCC is kind of our competitor. MCC and DCC. I mean, it's a great system, but
I would be willing to do that. Absolutely, I absolutely be willing. We have nobody who plays it, and we in order to do it, have to do a good job. Now, yes, we had corporate differences. We just do as philosophy wise, but that doesn't mean wouldn't make games for it. I don't hold the management philosophy against the people who play it. I mean, it's a great game. It's fun. So that's something we could do. Will we? It's not high on our list, but it doesn't mean we wouldn't.
Skeeter's doing some MCC or DCC. So if you're interested,
should be that's usually my bellwether. Like the canary in the coal mine. That's my canary right there, Skeeter Green.
Skeeter, he's your something. Well, that's for sure.
Hey, we haven't had any, Damn It, Zach episodes in how long now?
It's been years, a couple
well,
years.
You know what? You guys drove us out, man. We were okay, but then your show came and just pushed us out.
I take credit for that, or we both take credit for that. That's something we looked for since day one. We planned on that. That was one of our bullet points that we we need to take out GDZ, and when we did, we had a celebratory glass of champagne. It was a great day. So.
My insides hurt with that comment because whenever my quotes around anything I said gives me a problem because when I worked with the government in Arizona, the very last thing you ever wanted as a junior staffer for the governor was to be quoted.
Oh no!
That was I'd rather be branded.
Same thing in law enforcement. It was like, Sarge, can we get a quote from you? Nah, I don't talk to the press.
Yeah,
we have a whole division for that.
Nothing good ever happens to that, does it, Eric?
No.
If you're a police officer, officer of the law, that does not work out well ever. No. Or on Twitter, you should Twitter. So people don't understand that people are commenting on the destruction of Twitter, and they should be happy because I think Twitter destroyed more careers than any other social media platform.
Yeah.
No demand, because how many people lost their job on a Monday after a tweet they made on a Friday? There has to be thousands. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
People
I'm not going to talk about it, but I had some rough nights following Twitter, so I'm yeah,
I know.
I
know.
The question about what happens to dead projects. Well, some projects never die. We produced stuff that I thought was never going to see the light of day. The Gods of the Lost Lands had sat around. Anthony's first worked on that like in 2016, yeah?
I think so.
We had you work on the Gods book a long time ago.
Yeah.
That just came out. It's printing right now, right?
Yeah.
So some things never die. Like the Lost Lands setting, I didn't think that would come out.
Yes. And by the way, that's coming out as a bunch of shorter books instead of one 200,000 word book.
We would have had to charge $220 for it. The number of words would be and how much art it needed. Because to put it out without art would have been disservice, and to put it out with art would have been nobody would have bought it. I mean, even the project manager Mark, he said he wouldn't pay that much for it. I'm like, well, that tells me something. No, but so it's going to be good.
No, neither would I. I just want my author copy. That's it.
Hold on one second. I'll be right back.
Whoa! Hey, okay.
Okay.
He's gonna go call Skeeter. He's gonna go call Skeeter and yell at him.
Yep.
Looks like it's just
why have we done
now.
GDZ? No.
It's just us holding it down.
We can do it. We can handle this.
Catching up to we're almost caught up on comments.
So Anthony, I know a question I can ask you, Anthony. So
sure.
What do you play now, and how often do you play?
What do I play? Oh, okay. Let's see. My Call of Cthulhu campaign just ran aground.
Great game.
And it ended badly. But I am running 5e right now, and I am also mucking about with wanting to run some Savage Worlds and potentially Worlds Without Number. Those all my number 2 role-playing game is probably Savage Worlds. After 5e.
Very popular choice nowadays. What's the appeal of Savage Worlds? Because I see that everybody I know plays Savage Worlds now.
It's really flexible, and they say it's intended to be sort of really fast play, and that works pretty well. I find it to be a fairly fast playing game. The rules don't get in the way, and it's applicable to a whole lot of different settings.
Right.
And it's universal. I think it's like GURPS is great, but it's very, very crunchy. And Savage Worlds was designed to be a little more flexible and a little more universal without being quite so granular. And I worked on the Flash Gordon setting, so and that got me totally into Flash Gordon. So and I ran a Flash Gordon campaign, and one of my heroes got to punch Ming the Merciless in the face. It was great. Yeah.
Suck on this, Ming. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's also really interesting. I'm sorry, go ahead, Eric.
No, go ahead. No.
I was going to say, I think it's really interesting how many of the old school guys play a lot of 5e, because I know Steve Winter does too. He's a big 5e guy. What is it about the 5e rule set that appeals to the old school guy in you?
I think the fact that it's pretty straightforward. It's again, I think there's some flexibility there. There's some there's a little rigidity in some areas of it, but a lot of it it's not as locked down or as complicated as 3rd edition, and certainly nowhere near like 4th edition. It feels like a relatively good mid-ground between the more modern and really crunchy games where they try to cover every single possible alternative, and the really old stuff where it was like, oh well, whatever the GM feels like doing, and they don't feel compelled to handle every single exception in every single situation, and a lot of times they just leave it up to you, and I appreciate that. And I think it's the fact that it's lighter, and there was also a sort of a sense of relief because I was not really thrilled with 4th edition, and the fact that they came back to something that at least had maintained the feel of earlier versions to an extent. And there's some elements of it that I like a lot better than old school stuff, frankly. So,
well, it's interesting how rule systems swing from do whatever you want to do to no, we're going to make, because it was because when you had that big swing to 3E, when 3E came out, that was one of the things that turned me off. Was it was just so crunchy, but people loved it because you could create exactly the kind of character you wanted to create. Right. You didn't have to have an archetype of a paladin, or I mean, nowadays you could have a party with 5 paladins in it, play 1st edition D&D. They can all be different. They can all be different, but that's based on what the players do with the characters, not based on any set of the rules. Whereas the 3E and systems like that, you kind of created your own, I guess, your own vision of the character.
I sort of like, yes, it is kind of player facing in the sense that there's a lot of options for, players to play the way they want, because it's like, back in my teenage days, another group of people were playing D&D, and their characters were named Fighter 1, Fighter 2, Thief 1, Thief 2, etc. Fighter 1 falls, okay, fire up Fighter 2, So there was that sort of, I don't know, blandness to it. And these days, when you got a lot of the different species you can play, the different options, it gives a much more nuanced and a much more varied way of playing, and I think that's cool.
What's still interesting though with 5E, everybody took a step back again from the 3E, Pathfinder type. Let's make this a little simple, because I think people got tired of taking an hour to 2 hours to roll the character, or to optimize. You're trying to optimize your character.
I need Hero Lab to set characters up. I thought that was a cool piece of software, but it was seemed excessive for me. But I'm old.
I use that, and it's like. I really liked what they did with 3rd and 3.5 initially, and then when there were 50 different books that you could get that all had different options, and you didn't know which ones you were using, and you had to go to the game master and say, "Hey, can I play this particular?" Weird.
Pathfinder 1's problem was it had so many of those and third-party ones that, and they promised they would never have a new edition, as I recall. And then people had. We have pictures of our customers that had books as tall as them. Yeah. Most of them were ours, but they had 2 stacks.
Yeah.
And I get it, but I mean, eventually.
So there's a question for you, Anthony, on there. Being prolific RPG author, do you have an extensive homebrew setting you base your personal D&D games campaigns in?
Yes, I do. I have one that I came up with, I don't know, 30 years ago. I don't know. It's pretty generic. It's called Thystra. And it's neat. There was some strong Warhammer Games Workshop influence, and it's fairly generic, But I don't know if there's anything really all that remarkable about it. But it is, I do have one because I love making maps and writing about countries and coming up with new culture.
World building is where it's at, man.
I always said that. I've always said as a DM, you're not really a true DM until you create your own setting for your own stuff. Because for years and years, I slogged along in Greyhawk at the Forgotten Realms, and I just got tired of doing what somebody else wrote on a piece of paper. So I want to do what I want to do with my.
Well, my comment was I don't want to.
For scale are awesome. I want to make that very clear here. Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Yes. I've run in Lost Lands too. I run in Stoneheart Valley and stuff like that. And my comment was not always, but I mean, a lot of times I don't want to play in someone else's yard. I kind of want to play in my own.
No, I get it.
Obviously, yeah. Zach and Anthony, if you could bring any RPG game IP, this is a good one, back to life, and have the rights to it, is there one you would work with? Okay, Anthony, you're first. So you just won the $1 billion lotto in California. So
there was a they did bring back. They brought back both of the ones I worked on. They did Kickstarters and brought them back, but I haven't seen much out of them. They brought back both Talislanta and Scarred Lands. Those both got relaunches, but they don't seem to have gone anywhere. But those were a lot of fun. I think I would love to have been in charge of a relaunch of Scarred Lands, because Rhea and I were both so enchanted with that setting. We did a convention game, which was sort of a super high level one shot where we were wrapping up the saga of the Scarred Lands because they'd stopped, they'd ended publishing, and we did one big thing with all these super high level characters who were out to save the Scarred Lands and I think redeem the Titans and stuff like that. So that was really cool. So that would be really neat. Is there any other? There's so many good ones. What was the one? Midnight.
That's cool.
Did they bring that back, or have they?
Yeah, they kickstarted it. Yeah,
did they?
Have it in Polish.
5e.
They actually converted it to translated to Polish. That's how popular that was.
Because that was such a great concept.
It was great setting.
I mean, dark and nihilistic, but fun.
That was one of the few ideas that the 3E D20, because there's so much junk that was published. I mean, there was a glut of stuff that came out. Not all of it was good. That was one of the few things that came out that was good. That was like, this justifies 3E 3.5 die 20 glut, because that was really good
Dark
stuff.
Sun. I would like to see again.
You'll never see Dark Sun again, in my opinion. I loved it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And probably Birthright. So
Birthright.
Those are all.
Zach, what do you just won the lottery, $1 billion. What are you gonna do?
In order to win this lottery, though, I have to everybody has to be aware enough about it, because one of the problems with cool settings that I like is everybody has to be buy in. You got to buy in. Sky Realms of Jeroen was badass and really cool, but in order to play it, you needed 5 people who knew about it. But the players couldn't know too much.
Very Empire of the Pedal Throne-ish. Yeah, she had to. Yeah. It was very much.
I also thought Space 1889 was really cool. You couldn't do that anymore. Though, to be honest with you, I had a lot of fun playing Rollmaster, and I think that something with not as wild as Hackmaster, but something with the tables. I guess Savage Worlds works like that in a way, but more crit tables they make the combat go pretty quick, but it isn't. I don't know. But also. Honestly, they're still making it, but Harn. I think Harn's badass. I love the very realistic one, because I died when I made my character pretty much. I got first wound, got a infection. Next thing I know, I was out.
Mm-hmm. Sepsis took out more people than monsters in Harn.
Realism. They are still plugging away with that one.
So Eric, I'm gonna ask you, Eric. What you just won the $1 billion lottery? What system are you buying and redoing?
Oh, gee, I'm trying to think. What I see, most of what I enjoyed running back in the day is still around to one extent or another, whether it's Paranoia, which always gets revisited every couple of years.
Tunnels and Trolls, right? You collect that.
TNT, yeah, I've got a very complete collection of TNT, which has so many editions. I would prefer to bring it back to 5.5, and then find somebody who could actually write actual missile combat rules for that game, because as it stands, they suck. I think that most of what I really enjoyed is still around in one flavor or another. Maybe not the edition that I would prefer. I mean, again, to bring back Midnight.
The Price of Freedom. That's the one you're missing. You're missing
oh my God!
Yeah, that's back in the grave. Yeah.
Oh my God! I have that in storage.
Yeah. No.
You know,
There you go.
Can I tell my Greg Kostikian story again?
You can't tell your Greg Kostikian story.
Greg Kostikian is the only guest in 15 years of North Texas RPG Con that I never got to meet, because he was in Dallas for a job that was going to last a year. He was during the convention. So Doug and I thought it'd be great to have him at the convention. And I mean, the guy, Creature That Ate Sheboygan. I mean, he's just done so many great things. I mean, and all over the place too. I mean, the guy, it's not just one genre. Now he's a little weird. I mean, he's out there. He's a little out there kind of guy, but he's just an incredible designer. And so we invited him to come to the convention, and he doesn't drive cars or own cars. He takes a bike everywhere. He was in Dallas. And so we said, we will hire an Uber driver to pick you up and drive you over here, because he didn't have a car or drive cars, or whatever. So apparently the convention we invited him to, he appeared while both Doug and I were doing something else off the premises. He actually did attend the convention because people saw him, met him, and got his signature on stuff. By the time Doug and I got back from our errands, he was already gone. Oh. So he popped in, signed stuff, and met and shook hands and everything, and then just left like a superstar. And we never got to meet Greg Kostikian, the guest at our convention.
I brought my Willow game to have him sign it too. I never saw him.
No.
By the way, thank you, Mike. Now, you know what? I actually do have the system I'd want to bring back, just so I could say it got finished. I'd bring back Sandman from Pathfinder Games, and actually
just had the one
to have
box
the
and the one
goddamn
module
prize given out. You know, the one that you were supposed to find over the course of 3 or 4 box sets, and then I would bring that back and let somebody find that damn prize that was promised.
That was actually a pretty cool setup to the setting that just never got finished. So
yeah,
I was thinking about mine. I really love the companion. For those who know, I've always talked about them for years. The companions modules.
Yes,
they're very good. There was 6 of them. There was one that was never published called "Sacrifices to the Oracle Lord." I bet that manuscript does exist. I'd love to see it come out. But the thing I loved about the companion stuff is each module is so incredibly well constructed. I would like to take those and give those to some really good writers like Anthony and some other people and say, I want you to write an adventure in this style.
No one's writing Street of Gems anymore, dude. No one's going to
nobody writes. First of all, nobody ever wrote like this, and nobody has ever written it like it since, because each module would set up a very complicated, time-intensive plot. And what I mean by that is usually each adventure took 30 days, and things happened off stage. And if you didn't do certain things, your party adventures, other things would happen anyway. It didn't matter what you were doing. So there's one of them, my favorite ones is called Curse on Harith. And you arrive in town just as this guy's trying to take over the town. If you don't finish this guy off in 30 days, he takes over the entire town, and he sends the town guard after you to kill you. So, and all this time, 30 days, he's killing different people in town. He's just using his power to take over the town. There's also a serial killer in town that's killing people. That's a red herring that will take you off on another thing. And there's also a supposed plague, which is called that's the curse. And it's not, and so it's got all these different plot lines going on at the same time. There's also some monsters you can kill, but I always like the fact that if the players don't do something, something else happens. And I always thought that's underused plot, and that's underused device in most modules. That your characters are not the center of the universe. That they're there to interact with stuff, but everything doesn't center on them. So if they just come into town and wait 30 days.
You've never played 5e, have you?
Well, I never liked that when I would read an adventure, and it was like, okay, whenever the characters are ready, they can go do blah, blah. No, if you wait too long, another party of adventurers gets hired. When you show up at the Duke's house, we don't need you. And so then you have to go from there. Oh, what are we going to do now? Well, that's too bad, because you're not the center of the universe, guys. I mean, so I always like the companions adventures because they have that element that you're not the center of the universe. Things are happening all around you. And I would love
less heroic. You want to make it less heroic and make it more.
No, I want to make it more realistic, and that get off your ass and do things, and don't just sit around and wait for things to come to you. Because I think a lot of players now. This is my old man rant of the evening. A lot of players, the Ben Barshes of the world, the young kids. By the way, our guest next week, Ben Marsh, we'll ask about this. they've grown up with these plot lines that cater to them. In other words, you're the center of the universe. When you come into town, they're waiting to hire you so you can go clear out the old witch's castle. Well, no, that they shouldn't all be set up like that. It should be, if you don't do this, something bad is going to happen. If you don't go kill the evil banshee at the manor outside of town, something bad is going to happen, and you're going to be responsible because you didn't do your job. I like that aspect of the companions' adventures, and I would try to bring back that world and try to bring back that whole concept that, here's a setting. You can put your players in this setting, but things are going to happen. And also, the one great thing about the companions also was that what the players did actually mattered. So if they did something over here, it actually they would tell you, okay, so if they kill this guy, this is not going to happen anymore, or this will happen. And there's things they could actually do to affect the plot line. I don't think we quite use that quite enough either. Is that what players do actually does matter.
No, I agree.
So I would bring back the companions.
I'm going to interrupt because I want to make sure I get to this, and I want, because you tend to have an audience that skews old like us.
No,
Really? What?
really.
I want to share something that everybody's coming out. I showed it to Gavin at Necromancer Games yesterday. Anthony's seen it, and you guys get to see it too. Actually, Mike, you've probably seen parts of it, but you don't pay attention anymore to our development.
What?
Yeah. So, hold on. 1 second here. I pull it up. There it is, and here, and share screen.
No elf porn. Just let's get the good stuff.
Nope. You know what?
Sorry.
I saw a book of Rock Fantasy on my shelf. I'm like, I bet that's one Anthony did not work on.
Hey, I've been watching Rings of Power. Do you want to know what happened last episode?
Nope, I don't.
No.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. This is the first Artoma Horrors.
Oh, I have seen this.
Yeah. So
I may have worked
Oh.
on it. I did work on part of it. I'm very proud of it. That's
gonna
good
be
stuff.
in A5, so that's the size you'll see the
Oh,
book.
that's sick.
It's beautiful. It's absolutely
that's
beautiful.
beautiful. That's so beautiful.
This is because we're doing. There's this game that's called OSE, and Frog God Games is now doing OSE product. And OSE, if you like old school D&D, matter of fact, if you like BX D&D, this is the game for you, because this is basically BX D&D brought up to the present day, and it's great. It's a fun game. Zach knows this. I use BX for all my convention games. I think it's probably the best convention game ever written, because it's very easy to play at the table and just roll up characters and boom, you're done. You're going. And we're really excited about OSE. It's the Kickstarter did great, and the guys at Necrotic Gnome are awesome, and this is going to be a great little partnership. And we've got some great product coming out. We're going
to release that in a PDF to pay what you want, but really free. We're going to release that, though, for people to take a look at as we build up towards the monster book. Because Ade Smith and Aaron Smill, but Ade, especially with the monsters, is a machine.
Ade is amazing.
He's done hundreds of our monsters already, and he does a really good job. And they've been working on style guide for it, and everybody's working hard to make them nice and consistent and good. And I'm really excited about the Artoma Horrors, and we also spells. We're working on that too. So
what's great about and what's cool is, so we did the OSE book. We looked at with the monsters. I believe this is true, Zach. We didn't do any monsters already in the OSE books, right?
We did none of the monsters in the OSE books, and we did.
I couldn't believe they did. There's some stuff I couldn't believe they didn't have. They didn't have Nagas. Nagas are like the coolest monster ever, and they didn't have. There's a bunch of other ones we did too. They didn't have.
We have 1,000 monsters that are in that book.
Oh my gosh!
We want to make new ones. We want new ones too. So.
And a lot of them were our monsters that we created for Toma Horrors and all our various Toma Horrors books. But some were original monsters like the Nagas that had never been done before. So, yes, it's a great product. If you play OSE or if you play any old school game, this is going to be a great addition. And usually, in the past, so when we come up with the Toma Horrors, our Toma Horrors are all for 5e, right? We've been doing all these 5e books. And yes, you could use it with old school. You could take a Toma Horrors and convert. This is going to be right up your alley if you like old school, because you're not going to have to do any conversion. There it is. It's going to be.
And I do want to say that if you want to see it, and you want to see a big one or large volumes, we need people to support the ones we have now, so we can justify this. So pay everybody. So we'd love to see more support for Yulecat and love more support for the St. Bathurst and OSE, because Whisper Venom did real well, and we need to keep on doing well, because I think we could make some significant. We have 10 volumes of monster books over the course of a couple of years, plus spell books and adventures. We have all the stuff to do it. We really want to because OSE kicks ass. It's really great.
It does.
In order to do that, we need to result. So
I've got my OSC box sets waiting for me at home when I get home. I'm so ticked off that I missed them. So they're just sitting at the post office crying for me, crying for Bad Mike.
They're already on the way back from the croc. No,
don't say it. How dare you bastard. Don't you say that. No, I told them to hold my mail. They're holding my mail. You hear me? They're holding my mail. I told them to hold my mail.
They're very beautiful. They are really beautifully produced. And I gotta say, they are some of my favorites, certainly.
The artwork and the layout's just incredible.
Yeah.
And by the way, let me tell you something that I told Zach the other day. I got my copy of Steve Winter's new module, and the layout's incredible. And I said that unsolicited, didn't I, Zach? I just told you that I thought the layout was incredible.
Was that Lake of Dust?
Lake of Dust.
Yeah, Lake of Dust. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The layout's great, and this is the layout for all our new stuff, right? Not just Lake of Dust. It's very eye catching. It's really hard to see.
Yeah.
There we go.
But it looks great. Bless her heart.
Yeah, it does. It does. It's very look for an old guy like me. I like things that I can read. I can find stuff easy. I can read it easy. I was really impressed. Very impressed with the layout.
That looks
aren't you going to take credit for that, Zach, or is that somebody else?
I'm not going to take credit for it because honestly,
I know.
Here's the thing: is that we met. Edwin met Lizanne he's playing in a group with her an online game, and he waited 7 or 8 months to say that he was in a game company, and they waited another 3 or 4 months to mention that we needed layout. I would have been 1 week. 1 week. I'm like, layout. My ears popped up, but Edwin was being Edwin, and that was fine. But she's really good, and she's also she speaks French primarily, and so we have meetings. I find it interesting because the accent's tough for me, and I'm not going to get any younger. I'll be honest with you, and so I have Edwin there to help make sure that I'm saying everything the right way. Because the last thing I want to in any way offend her, because I need her real bad. So,
yeah, I can't say enough good things about her. She is just awesome to work with. Yeah, no, she is, and the samples from Whisper and Venom are great, and she understands. Like when we're saying the OSC version is going to look very different than the 5e version, and we mean that. We're very serious about how that is. It's a pain to get it done. However, I think it's worth it because it treats the system as it deserves. And so Anthony did a lot of the yeoman work on making sure that was it Yocat you did? Yeah, you just did Yocat in OSC. Yeah. Yeah, I did the conversion too. So yeah, it was it's not that bad. But it is different, and it's just kind of nice. It's good for creating familiarity with the system too. Aid did all the monsters and did bang up job.
So the thing about Aid, so I and Zach knows this. So we first started looking at monsters. I did some monster conversions to see how easy and or hard it would be, or how long it would take. And so we got Aid in there, and Aid is a freaking machine. I mean, I did like 5 monsters, and then I sent him an email. He did like 50. I was like, I guess you're doing monsters then, because I don't even you're and the way he did it was exactly the way that I had looked at and said we did. This is
yeah, but he did it faster.
The best way to do it. He did it way faster. I'm old. He's great, but no, he did a great job. And he did the monsters with the proper respect and the proper, I don't know what the word is for, but they look exactly like the stuff in the OSC. I mean, he did it exactly the same way you would do it in the OSC book, but there is a Frog God Games flair to them. They're not the same kind of OSC monsters. I mean, that's hard to do. That's hard to do. Something original, yet put kind of a little twist in there to make it, to make it ours.
I'll be frank with you, we spent months doing it to make sure that we talked to Gavin and we talked to Ty Beard is right. You do look like you're.
I know he's got his own comedy show over here.
Well, the best thing is that's my attorney. He's the one if anything happens and we have to deal with Wizard of the Coast, he's the one who's going to save us for free. Anyway,
you are burning down the house.
Yeah. Anyway, so no, but the OSC stuff, we cared about making sure that it was legitimately like it was, and Mike and I spent a long time looking at it. Chuck did 2 or 3 sample layouts, and this is Chuck's layout for the one you saw from Naga, and it's great. It's sticking. It's awesome. It's like the perfect. It is peak Chuck. So
it was very important to us that we were very respectful for the OSC material. What you pay for? It was very important to us because we both love BX D&D, and we like what we really like what the Necrotic Gnome people did with OSC. It was very important to us that it had the right kind of feel, that everything was perfect for this, because this is kind of like, look, we like Swords and Wizardry, right? I mean, it was a good system. We enjoyed it. I never played Swords and Wizardry, and I'll tell you, this is a confession. I never played it because it wasn't exactly the kind of old school game that I wanted to play. OSE is exactly the kind of old school game that I play, because I played BX quite a bit, and I really, really, really enjoy that game, and I'm glad that we're doing material for it. So,
yep. So anyway, but I did want to share that, not to interrupt our reminiscence, but I want to make sure everybody saw that, because I think it's an indication of what we want to make. So if you're into old school games, please give us a support, because we can use it to make sure that we can justify creating these books, because they're great. And the audience needs to be there, and we are serious about making sure it's great. So I sent Gavin an email just like that today, showing him the same thing I showed you, plus telling him why we're doing what we're doing and what's coming up and everything else. So we're serious. So
very nice.
All right.
All right. So what didn't we cover?
We covered one D&D.
We talked about how my attorneys don't work for free, but I'm going to get what I pay for.
Wow.
Yeah, so that tells
you get what you pay for. Yeah,
that tells you a lot right there, I gotta say.
we should just pay him in bottles of booze. I mean, that shows you right there how important it is.
He won't be very effective, then, will he? You can't. Come on. He has to at least go through the conversion process, so it isn't right to the booze.
Ty, just by the way, since we have you on here, my wife read me off an article the other day. They just busted a huge catalytic converter ring in Houston. They did. Did I tell you this, Zach, or not? I don't think I told Zach either. No. Yes, they just busted it was a gigantic ring of catalytic converter thieves, and they were actually, their base is in Houston. But they traveled all over Texas,
all over Tyler, Texas, still my attorney's catalytic converter.
All the way to Denton, Texas, to steal our attorney's catalytic converter while we were at ReaperCon one night, and he was parked in the parking lot. So,
that's right.
So your catalytic converter was probably recovered somewhere, Ty. I don't know if you can still get it now. I think
usually when they steal the catalytic converter, they saw it off. So even if they recover,
yeah. But they busted a big gang of them. So it was like 2 weeks after yours was stolen. So yours is probably in a box in the closet there somewhere, in the warehouse somewhere. So yes, we've had a huge influx of catalytic converter thieves in Texas lately. Gary's got stolen off his car in North Texas last year.
It's not as funny as Ty's getting stolen.
And Ty's got stolen. We were sitting in the bar, Ty and I talking while I was getting stolen, which is the sad part. And then next morning, he started his car up, and catalytic converter was gone.
No, so anyway, so that was fun. Steve the Cat tie. I'm going to answer this one. The company that made those no longer produces the custom ties, and that's too bad, because I had a million good tie ideas. I had the cover of Bill Webb's Book of Dirty Tricks. I had the cover of the sewer picture from Bardsgate, and I did the cover from Sword of Air, and also the Rap and Athic from the first one in third edition. Had that cover as a tie, yeah.
Zach, didn't we auction off a tie at the midnight auction either last year, not this year, but last year, the year before?
Yeah, that was the one with Bill's head on it. It was we did from the
that was Steve the Cat. Was that a Steve the Cat tie?
No, that was the Book of Dirty Tricks.
Oh, Book of Dirty Tricks. Okay, yeah.
That was the one I was saving for Anthony, because he wanted to tie with Bill on. I knew he did, because he wears ties all the time.
Oh no. Well, Anthony's probably like me. I swore I'd never have a job again where I wore a suit and tie. And I never will. I did that for way too many years. I
only wear ties at my discretion.
Now that's
weddings and funerals. Weddings and funerals. That's it. Yeah. And even if the funeral's not too formal, I don't even wear them at the funeral. So the dead person doesn't care what you're wearing. So
I'll care.
Just show up. Just show up there. To catalytic conversion RPG coming in 2023.
Oh God!
Form your own gang of catalytic converter thieves.
I think that would be perfect for World of Darkness.
That would be, actually. That would work real well there.
Spread out across the city and see how many catalytic converters you can steal in one night.
Catalytic converter, the stealing.
It'd be like Grand Theft Auto, but lamer.
Yeah.
And then you get bonus points if you steal the catalytic converter off of Ty's car. You get bonus points. You look at the license plate, says T Beard. And you're like, I'm stealing this catalytic converter. Extra points.
We love you, Ty. We're picking on you, but you saved our company. Thank you.
Yeah, we're picking on you because we kid because we love. Come on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He says even his wife is making.
I don't know anything about it, but thank you for that.
Yeah, so I'll tell you someday, Anthony. When you'll be bored.
Oh, okay. Chris Clark has to get that in his inner city. Yeah, that's Chris Clark's inner city game. Which is a great game, by the way. If you've ever played Chris Clark's, was it Inner City? It's Inner City,
Inner
right?
City games.
Oh, it's a great game. You're basically a gang of hoodlums, and there's a city, and all you do is commit as many crimes as possible in a time limit or get a game session and see how many points you can get for doing that. So,
whatever floats your boat.
Very tongue in cheek. It's set in the 70s. It's the 70s, kind of genre. So very, very. Man, yeah, that I'll have to tell Chris about that and have him put it in his next game. Have the catalytic converter stole off a Ty's car.
I haven't laughed on one of these episodes this hard in a long time.
Well, because it's just been you and me, and we're not really very funny by ourselves.
No, not well. Listen, the audience is really rocking it today.
Before we go, I do have one more question for Anthony because I want to ask my own question now.
Okay.
What's battle mechs for yours?
I'm sorry?
Battle mechs. Which are the mechs? You know, the battle mechs?
Oh, battle mechs? Oh. I don't know, Rifleman, Marauder, Locust, Samurai.
Damn.
You could have retired then, really, and had your nerd moment.
Yeah, no kidding.
Wolverine.
Jeez.
God. The Zhukov tank, the Stingray fighter. And others. I could probably come up with those eventually, but yeah, quite a number.
I bought
the Marauder 2. Yeah.
I bought the technical readouts. I bought all of them. So next time that when I run into you eventually, and I will, I'm going to make you sign those because I do love
sign all of those. There was one. This is so funny. They were doing a read through of the original technical manual on RPG.net. And I was following it along going, oh, this is cool. This is cool. This is cool. This is cool. And then they got to one of mine. I think it was the Ost Soul. And I was in my, early 20s. And I had written one, and the pilot was called The Heartbreaker, or it was called The Heartbreaker. And she put a heart on her mech for every one of her paramours. And
nice.
They were kind of like
on a bedpost. Way to go, the modern.
That's pretty much it. And the response online was, what horny teenager wrote this?
RPG is the worst place to get exposed for that, just so you know.
I know, and I got on there and said, oh, this horny teenager, except I was in my 20s. Well, and I did that as a tribute to a woman I wanted to go out with. And I said, and that's how Daddy met Mommy. And no, that not really. It did not succeed. But that was so funny because I was like, oh, okay, I admit to it. Yes. I kind of, yeah. Anyway,
well, BattleTech held the risky Black Widow covers too. So it was kind of the horny teenager go-to.
Oh yeah, you had to take all your 80s clothes off to pilot a mech.
For the mech you had to have a half shirt if you were a woman, definitely. Yeah. And and in short shorts, obviously.
Definitely.
I mean, I
don't miss that.
You don't wear a jumpsuit with like cooling fluid or anything. You don't do anything sensible like that. You go into battle naked, because it's so hot. God.
If you think we're joking, go find the covers for the Black Widows.
Totally.
I
wrote. I think it was Tales of the Black Widow. Yeah, that was one of mine too.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that was you. Yeah. Oh, that's great. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I always thought that was a bit much, but I rolled with it.
Yeah, I'm looking at the cover right now. It's just as risque as ever. Oh,
yeah, as risque as ever. Yes, and we should be learn how to steal catalytic converters from battle mechs. Yeah.
Noble Knight has it for $85. So go. You should have saved a case of those, Anthony.
Wow,
You're rich now.
Your stuff's going really cheap.
Wow, you should have saved a case. Oh man.
Terry has a question for Zach.
Yeah.
How many books are planned for the deities of the Lost Lands?
We have so many gods. There's some that we're reserving for when we're going to develop parts of the Lost Lands that need the gods, and then there are many gods for ones that we have so many that they may not all see the light of day because they may not all be necessary, but we're going to have it. We have at least 5 books there. So long as everybody's still buying them, we'll still produce them. So
fair enough.
Good answer.
We'll make more gods and keep buying them. Don't worry.
Well, as we always say too, the problem with the God book is especially in the early days of Necromancer, we had people just writing and they would just throw a god in every book, and there was no central authority of hey, here's our pantheon. Here's our pantheon. There was no pantheon. It was just created as you go along, and so we got stuck with quite a few gods.
No, that was deliberately planned by Bill Webb every step of that Lost Lands way. That's the story we stick with.
Yep, sure was.
Right.
Uh-huh. If you say so.
Yes.
I have not been to NTX. I'd like to.
Yeah, we want you to go.
Please come, Anthony. Yes.
Okay, I'll go.
We would love.
You'll love it because it is a gaming. I mean, it's about playing games from the '80s, and there's a lot of special guests, so you don't get over swamped. Everybody's talking to everybody talks to famous guys like
Anthony. Guys there will actually know who you are. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, you go to North Texas, guys would know who Anthony Pryor is. If you go to some of these modern frou cons, they're not going to know the greatness of Anthony Pryor. But go to North Texas, and people will be like,
"Oh my God!"
Too. Yeah,
right.
They'll get in an argument over which birthright book of yours is best or whatever. I mean, that's the kind of goofball fans we have.
Yeah, they can do that. That's fine.
They're old school. Well,
they can't bring everything to get you to sign it because they can't carry it all.
Yeah, but no, that's they would appreciate the old school aspect of stuff. So, and they want to hear, and you got to. Hopefully, you have a Lorraine Williams story. If you don't, I don't know if you could. You couldn't hang with us.
We never crossed paths, so it was fine.
Yeah, you could make up one though. Why don't you just make up a good
I'll make one up. That'll be fine.
Yeah, about how she said gamers were fat pigs or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
throw that out there. Yeah,
I could talk about David Carradine at Gen Con saying that he didn't like being around 30,000 people that would never get laid.
Well,
see that's the kind of story we need.
How wrong was he at the time? Right?
Well, considering how he ended up, oops. I mean,
too soon? No.
Yeah, no, it's not too soon. Not at all. It's not too soon.
Yes, by all means. I don't think I have a favorite monster, but all of them. I like them all equally. I appreciate their entire oeuvre.
So you haven't done BattleTech at North Texas.
Here's the deal, Anthony.
I got to do that.
We have a Friday night BattleTech game every year at Texas, and we call it BattleTech.
Okay.
Because it involves quite a bit of imbibing.
Oh, okay.
And by the end of the game, nobody really knows what's going on anymore. And,
it's fine. I will. I guarantee I will get my ass handed to me.
It's a blast. If
your legend can't grow, that Anthony, you can't grow your legend.
I played at a con once, and I had a samurai, which was one of the ones I designed. And then I had this little kid just running around me, shooting the hell out of me. And when it was all over, he said, "You really weren't playing that samurai right."
Yeah, whoever wrote that sucked.
I was like, "You're probably right. You're probably correct."
You should get the guy that wrote the samurai to show you how to play that.
Yeah, you should do that. Yeah, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
that's great. Goblins and kobolds, awesome. Yeah. Anyway.
All right.
Well, I think we've hit the witching hour.
Yes,
we have, yes.
Zach, is there anything that we have yet to talk about that for our God?
Would you like to pimp anything?
Sales going on right now. We have sales at our store is 50% off. I think is everything, and that's a good time to buy stuff because we don't usually do discounts that deep because nothing Bill Webb hates more than giving stuff away cheap. But we did it anyway, in spite of him. No, we have that goes for another week. and if you buy it, you need to buy it this week because shipping during the holidays is a pain for us to make sure the post office in Paulsville picks it up, and all kinds of reasons to do it now so you can get it, and it's actually a real good deal. Also on drive-through, all our PDFs are steeply discounted, and we encourage you to get a free copy of the Yule Cat stats for the Yule Cat itself now. The Yule Cat is up on Indiegogo. Please check that out. I really am. Not just because Anthony's here. Honestly, it is the best one I think we've done in a long time in terms of a serious one that we can be proud of in a kind of a, I would say a avant-garde way. I mean, I think it's great because it takes something very, very interesting from another culture, treats it very respectfully, and includes a poem. I think it might include it in Icelandic. So here you go.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Folks, there are links, by the way, at 10cardstavern.com to the sale at both Frog God, Drive-Through, to the Kickstarter. So just look at that.
And there's a drawing for a free trip to Iceland.
There's a humble bundle about maps right now we're a part of, just so you know, if you need maps, is last night.
Okay.
Last night to get
like
it. Like I said, we're firing on every cylinder right now, so we know it's hard to go and get all of them, but I encourage you to take a look, please, because we're making better stuff all the time. And I know that I hang around some real rapscallions on the show, not you, Anthony. But it's an absolute pleasure to be here and to work with Frog God and to have fans that are cool. And even my attorney comes and yells at me at the show. It's a pretty good deal. I'm going to get you, guy.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Yes. And everybody have a good holiday
awesome.
weekend.
You guys
good
are all
holiday
cool.
weekend. Be sure to root for the Dallas Cowboys tomorrow as they face the hated New York Giants.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry, Eric. Did I say that? Oh, wait, hold on. You're a Jets fan.
Win other games. Maybe.
You're a Jets fan, right? Okay.
So Anthony, you know, let's go. We're out of here for this.
New York is finally having a season. Both sides.
The Jets, not the Giants. The Jets. He's a Jets fan. Are you a Giants fan too?
I went to a Giants game. Come on.
Dude, come on. No, you can't do that.
I don't want to hear it.
You can't do that.
Folks, listen, you hear it from me every time I do one of these episodes. It's no longer a pandemic. It's an endemic. Use your common sense, please. Right? You know your situation better than anybody else. Nobody here is going to hold your hand. Other than that, be safe, be well. God bless. Roll those dice, roll them well. There's a link down below for our Substack where you can see what's going on in this channel, all the associated channels, the friends of this channel. It's growing every week. We're adding new people. So join us.
Anthony looks like Brett Spiner. That's
I get
not bad.
Oh my God, Mr. Data.
I get that at gas stations all the time. You look like a guy, Independence Day, the scientist guy. You know,
that's Brett Spiner. You look like that's not so bad. No, hey, and everybody who's a fan of the show, please tell Eric Tankard that he and I need to play racquetball more online because he keeps on ghosting me.
Definitely no. Although obviously tomorrow's Thanksgiving and I doubt it's going to happen, but
I know. That's
maybe Black Friday. I don't know. I do all my shopping online.
Thank you all for helping me to help him. Yep. All right, everybody. Thank you.
All right,
night, folks. Thank you all.
Everybody.
See you later. Happy Thanksgiving.
Eat turkey. If you can find one.
Turkey. Get fast to sleep.
Frost your turkey now. You